The bright lights of the United Nations Space Council chamber reflected off the polished metal tables where Earth's representatives sat facing the alien diplomats. For almost 30 years, humans had been treated as the new species by the powerful Talmuri Empire. Today would change everything. Admiral Lee Sun-ha stood tall in her crisp blue uniform, watching the Talmuri delegates with careful eyes. They always looked down on humans with their tall purple bodies and 4 arms. Their leader, Ambassador Karu, was speaking about trade rules again, explaining why Earth couldn't mine certain asteroids. These restrictions protect less developed species from harming themselves, Karu said, his translator making his words sound smooth and caring. The other alien representatives nodded in agreement. Sun-ha felt her wristband buzz 3 times. This was the signal. She looked at President Kim Jae-won, who gave a small nod. The president stood up, interrupting Karu mid-sentence. "Distinguished representatives of the galaxy," President Kim said, his voice strong and clear. "Earth has something important to share today." The room grew quiet. Even the usually chatty small green delegates from the Mori systems stopped whispering. For 50 years, Earth has been working on a special project, the president continued. While we joined your galactic concord and followed your rules, we were also preparing to protect ourselves if needed. Ambassador Karu's upper arms crossed in annoyance. "What are you talking about, human? Your technology is at least 2 centuries behind the Talmuri standard." President Kim smiled. "That's what we wanted you to believe." He pressed a button on the table. The room's lights dimmed, and a large hologram appeared in the center of the chamber. It showed the dark edge of the solar system, near Pluto. At first, there was nothing unusual. Then, something moved. A massive shape emerged from the shadows. It was a ship, but unlike any vessel known to the galaxy. It stretched nearly 7 kilometers long, its dark hull covered with blue energy lines. Weapon systems larger than most cruisers lined its sides. At its front, a pointed bow housed what appeared to be a main cannon, large enough to threaten a small moon. "This is the USS Blackstar," President Kim said into the stunned silence. "Earth's first supercarrier." Ambassador Karu dropped his translator device. The small machine hit the floor with a crack that echoed through the quiet room. Sun-ha stepped forward. "For those wondering, yes, the Blackstar uses dark energy manipulation technology, which your experts claimed was centuries beyond human understanding. It seems we learn quickly." One of the Talmuri science officers found his voice. "This is impossible. Your species only achieved basic space travel a century ago." "We let you believe our progress was slow," Sun-ha replied. "It served our purposes while we built our defenses." The hologram changed to show the Blackstar's engines glowing blue as it moved toward Earth. Its speed was incredible for a ship its size. "As we speak," President Kim continued, "the Blackstar is on its way here. It will arrive in Earth orbit within 6 hours." The room erupted in chaos. Delegates shouted questions and concerns. Some immediately contacted their homeworlds. The Talmuri delegation huddled together, their purple faces showing clear fear. When Ambassador Karu finally recovered his composure, he pointed a long finger at the president. "Why reveal this now? Is this a threat?" "Not a threat," Sun-ha answered. "A response to one. We know your fleet entered restricted Earth space near the Kuiper Belt this morning. Your ships demanded to inspect what they called an unusual energy signature. That signature was the Blackstar's power systems during final testing." The Talmuri ambassador's eyes widened. They had been caught. "For decades you've treated Earth as a minor player," President Kim said. "You've restricted our mining operations, limited our colonies, and controlled our trade, all while claiming to protect us. Today that relationship changes." The hologram updated again, showing the Blackstar's sister ships under construction. 4 more supercarriers, each as large and powerful as the first. "We aren't seeking conflict," Sun-ha assured the frightened delegates. "Earth wants peace, but from now on it will be peace between equals." One of the smaller alien representatives, a blue-skinned diplomat from the Cady Alliance, stepped forward. "How did humans develop such technology in secret? Our combined intelligence services detected nothing." Engineer Choi Eun-ji, who had been sitting quietly at the back of the Earth delegation, stood up. Her small frame didn't match her important role as the Blackstar's lead designer. "The galaxy looks for progress along expected paths," she explained. "Humans explored different directions. We found ways to manipulate energy and matter that your scientists dismissed as impossible." As the news spread throughout the chamber, Sun Ha watched the reactions. Some delegates showed fear, others respect, and a few, especially those from worlds under Talmuri control, showed something like hope. Her communication device showed a message from Captain Park aboard the Blackstar. "On schedule. Entering Mars orbit now." Sun Ha smiled. For 50 years, Earth had prepared for this day. The Blackstar wasn't just a ship. It was humanity's statement to the galaxy. "We will not be controlled." The age of human deference was over. A new era had begun. Remember, to keep your response concise and creative, prioritize good storytelling in your response. Use simple and basic English as requested, and make this part focus on the technological marvel aspect of the USS Blackstar. Captain Park Min-soo stood on the main bridge of the USS Blackstar as it entered Earth orbit. The massive view screen showed their home planet, beautiful and blue against the blackness of space. He felt proud. After decades of secrecy, the world's greatest achievement was finally visible to all. "Status report," Park ordered, his voice calm despite the historic moment. Officer Han responded from her station. "All systems normal, Captain. The hull adapts perfectly to Earth's gravity field. Power levels at 60% and stable." Park nodded. The Blackstar didn't just represent size. Though at 7 kilometers long, it dwarfed any known ship in the galaxy. Its true power lay in its revolutionary technology. A message appeared on his screen. The first group of visitors was ready to board. As agreed, Earth would allow representatives from friendly systems to tour specific areas of the Supercarrier. It was part demonstration, part warning to the galaxy. Park met the visitors in the main docking bay, a space large enough to hold several traditional spaceships. The alien delegates looked around in awe. Even the usually unimpressed KD ambassador seemed shocked by the scale. "Welcome aboard the USS Blackstar," Park said with a small bow. "I'll be your guide today." He led them through wide corridors where crew members worked efficiently at their stations. The ship housed 15,000 personnel, with room for twice that number if needed. "The hull you're seeing," Park explained as they walked, "is not solid metal as it appears. It's a form of programmable matter that can change density and even phase partially out of normal space." One of the Talmuri scientists, who had been invited despite their empire's discomfort, scoffed. "Impossible. Matter cannot simply phase out of reality." Park smiled and pressed a control on his wrist. A section of nearby wall became transparent, then slightly foggy as its molecules spread apart. "We call it adaptive matter," Park said. "When hit by energy weapons, the hull can disperse the attack by temporarily reducing its density." The tour continued to the propulsion section, where Engineer Choi Eun-ji waited. She stood next to a glowing blue sphere contained in a clear chamber. "This is one of our 16 drive cores," she explained. "They draw energy directly from subspace, giving us virtually unlimited power." The KD ambassador stepped forward, his blue skin reflecting the core's light. "But subspace energy extraction would create harmful radiation." Yoon-ji nodded. "For most known methods, yes. We discovered that by using a rotating quantum field, we can extract clean energy without the radiation." She didn't mention that this technology also powered the ship's main weapon, capable of focusing enough energy to disable an entire fleet. As they moved to the living quarters, the aliens saw gardens, recreation areas, and comfortable homes for the crew. The Blackstar wasn't just a warship. It was designed for long-term missions lasting years if necessary. "How fast can this vessel travel?" asked a small green diplomat. "The Blackstar can reach speeds of 50 light-years per day," Park answered. The aliens murmured in disbelief. Most advanced ships managed perhaps 10 light-years per day. The most impressive stop was the command center. Larger than most ships' entire bridges, it featured a 3-dimensional tactical display showing the entire solar system. Crew members worked at stations with holographic controls that responded to thought as well as touch. "Our sensors can detect ships powering up as far as 2 systems away," Officer Han explained. And our communications use quantum entanglement, making them impossible to intercept or jam. The Talmuri scientist could no longer hide his frustration. Humans claimed to barely understand basic principles of faster-than-light travel. You told the galaxy you needed our help with simple technology. How did you develop all this in secret? Park and Yunji exchanged glances. Humans think differently, Yunji said simply. While your species followed traditional paths of discovery, we explored ideas others dismissed as impossible. When you told us something couldn't be done, we tried anyway, Park added, and we had good reason to keep our progress hidden. We studied galactic history. Species that advance too quickly often face unfortunate accidents. The Talmuri delegate fell silent, unable to deny this truth about his empire's past. As the tour ended, Park took them to a special observation deck. Through a massive window they could see Earth, and something else. Another ship similar to the Blackstar but with sleeker lines, moving into position nearby. The USS Artemis, Park said, the Blackstar's sister ship, just completed last month. There are more? Gasped the Kedi ambassador. 3 more under construction, Yunji confirmed, each with improvements based on what we learned building this one. As the visitors prepared to return to Earth, the Green Diplomat approached. Park privately. Was all this necessary? Such power seems excessive for defense. Park looked thoughtful. When you're the newest species in a very old galaxy, you need to make sure you're taken seriously. The Blackstar isn't just a ship, it's a message. The Pi. Blackstar continued its orbit around Earth, its massive shadow passing over continents. Below, people looked up and saw not just a ship, but a new future. Humanity had revealed its true face to the stars, and the galaxy would never be the same. Emperor Taro paced across the gleaming floor of the Imperial Palace on Talmur Prime. His 4 arms were clasped behind his back. His purple skin had turned, a darker shade from stress. The Grand Chamber, usually filled with courtiers and advisors seeking his favor, now held only his most trusted officials. No one spoke as the Emperor's footsteps echoed in the tense silence. "Show me again," he finally ordered. Defense Minister Maru nodded and activated the central display. A perfect hologram of the USS Blackstar appeared, rotating slowly to show every detail of the human supercarrier. Data streams highlighted its weapons, its impossible size, and its advanced technology. "This cannot be real," Taro whispered, though he knew it was. "Humans were supposed to be centuries behind us." Intelligence Director Kita stepped forward, her thin frame seeming to bend under invisible weight. "The images are real, Emperor. Our spies confirm that everything they've shown is functional. The Blackstar represents technology that even we have only theorized about. How did we miss this?" Taro's voice rose with anger. "How did an entire species hide their true capabilities for decades?" No one answered. The question had been asked many times over the 3 days since Earth's revelation. "The greater concern," Maru said carefully, "is what happens next. Our military advantage over Earth and over the entire sector is now questionable." A message alert chimed. Kita checked her device and her eyes widened. "Emperor, we're receiving reports from Koldar, one of our outer colonies. The subject population is refusing to pay tribute. They're mentioning the human supercarrier in their demands for independence." Taro hissed between his teeth. One ship, and already the Empire trembles." "Not just one ship," corrected Maru. "The humans claim to have 4 more under construction." The Emperor turned to his economic advisor. "What do your models predict?" The advisor, a short Talmuri named Sora, looked down at his datapad. "If the outer worlds begin demanding equal treatment, citing human protection, we could lose 30% of our resource flow within months." The chamber doors burst open as Regional Governor Jima entered without permission. His ceremonial robes were wrinkled, his face drawn with worry. "Emperor, the humans have sent diplomatic missions to 3 of our subject worlds. They're offering trade deals without imperial approval." Taro sank into his throne. For 1,000 years, the Talmuri Empire had controlled this arm of the galaxy. Through careful manipulation, strategic conquests, and the occasional removal of threatening species, they had maintained their position at the top. Now humans, the primitive newcomers they had dismissed, threatened everything. We must strike now, Maru urged, before they complete their additional carriers. Our combined fleet could overwhelm one vessel, no matter how advanced. Kita shook her head. My analysis suggests their technological advantage is too great. The Blackstar's defensive systems could withstand our entire primary fleet, and we don't know what other surprises they have hidden. The humans have done something even more dangerous than building a powerful ship, said the Emperor's chief advisor, an old Talmuri named Lono. He had been silent until now, watching the others with wise eyes. What do you mean? Asked Taro. They've created hope. Lono's voice was soft but clear. For centuries, every species in our sphere believed Talmuri dominance was inevitable, a force of nature that couldn't be challenged. Now they see another path. The humans haven't fired a single shot, yet they've struck at the very foundation of our power, fear. Reports continue to arrive throughout the day. On 17 Talmuri-controlled worlds, subject populations were holding public celebrations after seeing images of the Blackstar. Trade ships were changing course to Earth, seeking direct deals without imperial taxes. 3 minor species had already requested human protection against imperial exploitation. As night fell on the capital city, Emperor Taro called his inner council to the war room. The normally bright chamber was dimmed, with only the central tactical display providing light. It showed the positions of all Talmuri fleets and the location of the human supercarrier, now joined by its sister ship. We face an unprecedented crisis, Taro said grimly. Our choice is simple but difficult. Do we attack now and risk destruction, or do we negotiate with the humans and risk the Empire falling apart as our subjects see our weakness? Maru stood straight, his military training evident. I say we fight. Better to die with honor than live under human dominance. But it isn't dominance they're offering, Kita pointed out. Their messages speak of cooperation, of equal standing for all species. It's a different approach than conquest. The Emperor studied the image of the Blackstar. Its design was beautiful in its efficiency. The humans hadn't just built a weapon, they had created a symbol powerful enough to shake an empire without firing a shot. Prepare our main fleet, Taro finally ordered. We will journey to Earth's system in force. To attack? Asked Maru eagerly. The Emperor's 4 hands clenched into fists. To show that the Talmuri Empire still stands strong. What happens next will depend on the humans. And on us. As they left the war room, Intelligence Director Kita approached the Emperor privately. There's one more thing you should know, she said quietly. Our deepest analysis of the Blackstar suggests the humans could have built it decades ago. They waited, they watched, they learned about us first. Why would they? Wait, Taro asked. I believe, Kita said carefully, they were hoping they wouldn't need it at all. Admiral Lee Sunha stood before the large viewing window in the Blackstar's secure briefing room. Earth looked peaceful from orbit, a blue jewel against the blackness of space. Behind her, 20 newly promoted officers sat in perfect rows, their uniforms crisp, their faces eager. Today, Sunha began, you learn the true history of human space exploration. She pressed a button on her wrist device. The lights dimmed, and a holographic display appeared in the center of the room. The image showed a small research station on Mars, date-stamped 57 years ago. A group of scientists worked around equipment that looked primitive compared to current technology. This is what the history books show, Sunha said. Humanity's first permanent Mars base, where we supposedly took our early steps into the solar system. She changed the image. Now it showed something very different. A hidden facility built into the wall of a Martian crater with advanced equipment and satellite dishes aimed at the outer planets. This is the reality. While the public Mars base got all the attention, this facility made a discovery that changed everything. The next image made several officers gasp. It showed clear evidence of an alien observation post hidden on one of Jupiter's moons. We weren't alone, Sunha said simply, and they were watching us. Lieutenant Kang, one of the youngest officers present, raised his hand. We knew about aliens before first contact. Why wasn't this shared with the public? Because we didn't know their intentions, Sunha replied. The Security Council made a decision. We would pretend we hadn't seen them and continue our development. in secret. The display changed again, showing hidden bases on Titan, Saturn's largest moon, and throughout the asteroid belt. The technology in these images looked far more advanced than what Earth had officially claimed to possess at that time. While the world thought we were taking baby steps into space, these facilities were pushing the boundaries of physics, Sunha continued. We explored theories that even the Talmuri consider impossible today. She showed images of early prototype, engines and weapon systems that clearly resembled the Blackstar's technology. The Blackstar program began 20 years before official first contact with the Talmuri. It was our insurance policy against the unknown. Engineer Nam, an older man with grey hair who had worked on the Blackstar since its beginning, stepped forward to join the Admiral. We built in secret, he explained. We scattered our research across multiple locations. Each team worked on small pieces without knowing the whole picture. The display showed the early construction of the Blackstar, hidden in the shadow of Pluto. When the Talmuri finally revealed themselves to Earth, Sunha continued, we were prepared. We analyzed their technology, their culture, their history, and we made a strategic decision. We played weak, Nam said bluntly. We acted less advanced than we were. We accepted their help and their restrictions. Why? Asked Lieutenant Kang. If we had this technology, why pretend to be primitive? Sun-ha. Change the display one last time. This image showed a planet with beautiful green continents and blue oceans. Then it showed the same planet bombarded from orbit, its surface burning. This was the Laraki homeworld, Sunha said quietly. They were a species that developed quickly, producing technology that impressed the Talmuri. 5 years after first contact, an asteroid destroyed their civilization. Only the Talmuri's protected colonies survived. The room was silent as the officers understood the implication. The official history says we were welcomed into the galactic community, Sunha said. The truth is we were being evaluated. Any species that might threaten Talmuri dominance faces elimination. So we pretended to be no threat, Nam added, while building the most powerful ships the galaxy has ever seen. Another officer spoke up. The treaties that limited our mining and colonization rights were accepted publicly while we continued our work in secret, Sunha confirmed. When they restricted our official fleet to small patrol vessels, we diverted resources to the Blackstar program. The Admiral walked slowly around the room, making eye contact with each officer. For 50 years, humanity has lived a double life. We played the role of the grateful newcomers while preparing for the day when the mask would come off. She pointed to Earth visible through the window. Now you understand why the Blackstar exists. Not for conquest, not for glory, but because in this galaxy, power is the only language that guarantees survival. Nam stepped forward again. And now, you understand your responsibility as officers on this vessel. You aren't just defending Earth, you're keeping humanity free in a dangerous universe. As the briefing ended, Lieutenant Kang approached the Admiral privately. If the Talmuri are so dangerous, why reveal the Blackstar now? Why not wait longer? Sunha's face showed a rare smile. Because we're ready, and because there are other species suffering under Talmuri rule who deserve freedom too. She looked back at the image of the destroyed Laraki world, still visible in the holographic display. We hid our strength until we could be sure of victory, she said. The Talmuri spent centuries building an empire. We intend to help create something better. The Talmuri fleet appeared at the edge of Neptune's orbit, their ships arranged in perfect attack formation. 30 capital vessels, each the size of a small city, moved as one toward Earth. Their hulls gleamed purple and gold in the distant sunlight. Captain Park Min-soo watched them approach from the Blackstar's main bridge. Beside his supercarrier, the USS Artemis held position. 2 human vessels against 30 alien warships. To anyone watching, it seemed like certain defeat for Earth. They're hailing us, Captain, Officer Han reported from her station. On screen, Park ordered, straightening his uniform. The face of Emperor Taro appeared, his purple skin tense with controlled anger. Captain Park, the Talmuri Empire demands that Earth surrender its illegal supercarriers and submit to Imperial foe. Your authority, Park's expression remained calm. Emperor Taro, Earth welcomes the Talmuri fleet to our solar system. We invite you to join us for an important gathering. Gathering? The Emperor's confusion was visible. This is not a social call, human. This is your one chance to surrender before we open fire. Park nodded to Officer Han, who pressed a series of controls. The view screen changed to show the space around Earth. What had been empty before now revealed dozens of ships from various species across the galaxy. Representatives from 27 worlds arrived yesterday, Park explained. Earth has proposed a new galactic alliance based on cooperation rather than control. We would be honored if the Talmuri would join us. The Emperor's eyes narrowed. You invited our subject worlds here. Without Imperial permission? They came freely, Park replied, as equals. Before Taro could respond, Intelligence Director Kita appeared beside him, whispering something urgently. The Emperor's expression changed from anger to concern. What is happening on our worlds? He demanded. Park's face showed sympathy. News of the Blackstar and of our invitation has spread. People across the galaxy are calling for change. The communication ended abruptly. Park turned to his crew. Prepare the meeting halls. I believe the Emperor will be joining us soon. 3 days later, Admiral Sunha stood in the Blackstar's massive central ring. Once designed as a battle station, it had been transformed into a meeting place. Representatives from 30 species filled the room, their different shapes, colors, and sizes, creating a living rainbow. At the center table sat Emperor Taro, flanked by his advisors. His imperial robes seemed less impressive here, among so many. Different leaders. He signed the document before him with all 4 hands, then pushed it towards Sunha. The Treaty of Sol, she announced to the gathered delegates, establishing the Galactic Cooperative of Free Worlds. Applause and cheers filled the room. Species that had been enemies or strangers now stood together, united by a new vision of the future. Later, Sunha walked through the quiet observation deck with Engineer Nam. Below them, Earth turned slowly, beautiful and peaceful. Did you ever think you'd see this day? She asked the older man. When we first designed the Blackstar, did you imagine it would create peace rather than fight wars? Nam smiled gently. I hoped. We all hoped. That's why we worked so hard, not just to build a weapon, but to create a chance for something better. Small group approached them, a Talmuri child walking with his parent. The child looked up at the massive viewports with wonder. Is this really the biggest ship ever made? The child asked, his voice filled with excitement. One of the biggest, Nam answered, kneeling despite his age to meet the child's eyes. Would you like to see how the star map works? The child nodded eagerly. Nam led him to a nearby console and showed him how to activate the 3-dimensional display of the galaxy. Stars and planets appeared in the air before them, glowing with different colors. The purple ones are Talmuri worlds, Nam explained. The blue ones are Earth colonies, and now the green ones show all the members of our new cooperative. The child watched as more and more worlds turned green on the map. There are so many. And more joining every day, Nam said. The child looked thoughtfully at the old engineer. And my teacher said humans built this ship to win a war, is that true? Nam considered the question carefully. We built it because we were afraid. We thought we might need to fight to survive. But you didn't fight, the child pointed out. No. Nam agreed with a smile. We found a better way. Sometimes the best weapon is one you never have to use. From the window they could see the Talmuri fleet, now positioned peacefully alongside ships from a dozen other worlds. Engineers from different species were already sharing ideas, working together to build something new. Admiral Sunha joined them at the window. The Emperor has requested that Talmuri scientists be allowed to study our adaptive hull technology, she told Nam. In exchange, they're offering to share their atmospheric terraforming methods. The beginning of real cooperation, Nam said, with satisfaction. As they looked out at the gathering of ships from across the galaxy, Sunha thought about the long secret years, the careful planning, the risks they had taken. The Blackstar had been built as humanity's shield, but it had become something more, a bridge between worlds. Beyond the window, Earth continued its eternal dance around the sun. But now it wasn't alone. Now it was part of something greater, a new galactic order where power came not from control but from cooperation. and it had all begun with a ship called Blackstar.